Good evening, members and concerned taxpayers. We just wrapped up our meeting tonight. It was pretty intense at times.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Um, on our little journey around the town of Lindsay, we've seen a lot of concerning things. Wouldn't you say, Doug?
Very concerning about the environment.
Um, we're really concerned with the amount that the river is being used to dispose of harmful products on both sides, the east and the west side, through storm drains, through seepage from places and locations where they're storing toxic products and whatnot. Um, Anything to add to that, Doug?
Would you include old landfill?
Oh, that was and that was one of our major concerns as well. That the old Lindsay dump on Lindsay Street is still to this day leaching into the river. We were told, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. So we not only have the leaching from the old dump that was supposedly sealed and not been used for since they created the new dump on the other side, where we've seen that there's possible leaching coming from it, possible discharges coming from the new sewage treatment facility, leakage that can come through the lagoons into the river. I think the other concerning thing is where they're storing the winter snow contaminated with road salt. The other major concern is the pit that we've seen, hey Doug, outside the treatment place, where we were told that all winter long that the septic haulers pull up there and release that septic directly into that pit, and it goes into the river, right? And that's a major concern. Now that we've got the passage by the province of Bill 23, that takes away, in our opinion, more safeguards.
Yes, very much so.
That were in place.
Yep.
At the municipality level
to protect the environment.
Yeah.
And the environment in the future.
And our land. I mean, yeah. Now developers can build wherever they choose to build. They got their MZO approved by the province, which took away that authority from the municipality and the people that live in that municipality. Now we've got Bill 23 that takes away even more power from the municipality to protect, should we say, the people, our land, our water that we all rely on. In the future, with the growth that's planned around Lindsay, it'll more than double in size over the next 10 to 15 years, maybe sooner now because of this new passage of the bill, Doug?
Yeah. Yes.
So what we're even more concerned about what the quality of the water may be, and the mere fact that we could increase the population and then not have any drinkable or usable water in the future to offset the growth in the population.
Due to environmental pollution.
And it's really at a point where I think there's no turning back, that if the province now has unleashed the developers to build these so-called affordable housing, it hasn't put any safeguards in place as to where they choose to build. And we're going to lose now we're losing over 300 acres a day of good farmland to houses and development. It begs the question, at what point do we reach that we no longer have the land to be self-sufficient here in Ontario to produce food for the people that live here and depend on that every day of their life? And then you back that up with the second concern that we've really concerned is the water. Without water, there's no life. And if the water is contaminated to what we believe is at this point, our fish population has decreased. Our whole ecosystem within the lakes has changed. There's species in there growing now that were never here before. Our water, clean water, is shrinking. It's being taken over by growth that, again, was never here. We used to be a great place for U.S. people to come up and fish. Our lakes now no longer have those fish in them for whatever reason. I think we could associate back to what's been going on over the past 100 years, where Originally, they used the lake and the river to dump and dispose of waste when they first settled Lindsay. They previous have continued to do that same thing to current. And you have to beg the question is, when do we reach that saturation point that water then becomes unusable?
So really the point you're trying to make historically for the city of Kawartha Lakes is that historically we have in place old style, what we know now is flawed systems for handling drainage, runoff, contaminants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And because of all the rest of the activities going on, it's now getting to a serious point where there has to be some remedial work done very soon to correct what has been going on for 100 years, so that over the next 20 years we can have a better future for all the citizens.
That's our main concern because both of us being farmers and whatnot, we have an appreciation of the land and the water and buffer zones. That's the one concerning part that we're looking at when we were over at the landfill site and at the new treatment. There's no buffer between the treatment facility and the river. In fact, we identified outlets that were dumping right into the river from those facilities. I think, and again, the problem is it almost seems that you've got to have a disaster before everybody wakes up. And by the time they wake up, it's too late. So what we're saying is, and we're asking that the new council and the mayor require additional testing on our water throughout the city to see what really is in that water, not just for bacteria, but what the chemical levels. I mean, they've used that for dispose of all that stuff that came from the ammunition site and Lindsay during the war and that. Um, Literally, they've used our water and our lakes and our rivers as a dump to dispose of stuff that would have cost likely a lot more. It was much easier just to dump it into the river and let the river look after it. Well, you know that at one point, and it doesn't matter what you do with chemicals, it'll reach that saturation point that there's no turning back, that you've got a dead source for water. You can't clean it up. It's dead. And can you imagine being faced with 200,000 people living in the city and having no safe drinking water?
Boil water orders.
Boil water orders don't take out the chemicals. They only look after the bacteria that's in the water. We're more concerned that the chemicals that have been put into that water could be causing a lot of the health issues amongst our citizens here. Increase in cancer, increase in a lot of illnesses, right? And again, we wouldn't know that though until the water's been tested for all these chemicals that, I mean, we used to have Union Carbide and we used to have over 100 factories in the Lindsay corridor. Most of those factories were hooked up to the old city storm drain system. So they were dumping chemicals into that river for 20 years or longer. And again, we know that the carbide site on Colburn Street, you can't build on it. It's so contaminated with chemical residue that there's no way you could put people on it. So if you can't put people on that land, what's the water like? You know, and I mean, I'd really like to see the council and the people, the Ministry of Environment step up and show us, test that water for everything that it possibly could have in it and show us that it's safe to drink.
The other point too is because it's so new, this Bill C-23, we are sitting here talking about council and council members and the mayor and asking them to get involved in the community that us taxpayers live in. But there's also the potential that the Premier of Ontario now could be basically dissolving and getting rid of municipal governments. So now we have no one locally to discuss serious issues. It now becomes government by remote proselytion.
It's government from distance. It's not close to the people like our municipal government is. most of us know our elected officials. We know where they live. We can meet them. We see them every day. When you take that contact away from the local people and you centralize it like they did to us when we amalgamated, we went from townships and a county to an amalgamation. We centralized all that power within City Hall in Lindsay. We lost that contact within the municipality. They're doing the same thing. They have the potential under Bill 23 to do the same thing to us again, take away our local government, take away that contact, and centralize it in Queen's Park in Toronto. How many people then can go to Queen's Park with your concerns? Do you really think that your MP or anybody else is going to represent you the same way that your local municipal government does? I mean, I fear that that's the agenda that the Ford government is taking. They took away the power from the municipal government when they introduced MZOs for the developer. Now they've taken away the municipality's ability to stop any developer from building wherever they want to within that municipality. So there's no checks and balances. That's a major concern for both of us in the Fourth Lakes taxpayers members. I think in our own opinion, the premier should be held accountable for what he's doing. I don't know whether that's going to mean a court challenge or whether it's going to be lobbying Queen's Park or a march on Queen's Park collectively across the province to say that this isn't the right way to go, that we need to back up and we need to maintain control of development and plan development within our own municipality to protect the very water that we all rely on. So I honestly think, Doug, you have any more to? I mean, tonight's meeting was quite explosive.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the people need to stand up to Ford, tell them that his MZOs and Bill 23 should be stopped for the future of our children and our grandchildren. This province is going to seriously suffer in the future.
It's what we're both concerned about is that if we don't have a safe supply of drinking water, it won't matter how many homes we build in this province. If we can't supply our own drinking water and we can't produce our own food, we're done as a province. We will then rely on other provinces and other countries to supply our food. And most countries that don't have that are like third world countries.